Good morning. Um, so I'm gonna record this video and try to explain things while I'm trying to work. So they seem a little strange, but that's okay. Um, so yeah, the I just took a vacation to SoCal for the first time in years. So I haven't been to SoCal for Southern California in about 14 or so years, and basically when I went, we part of the goal was to have me see the old office I used to go to help my grandpa at, because that's where he worked, where he leased, I think it was leased the building to get his employees there and to work and stuff. And so it's completely redone. It's obviously no longer there anymore. And then we also went to the last house that he owned. So I went, or the one that I was familiar with, 2006, 2007, and we're hoping that the owner was going to let us in, but obviously I didn't have my hopes up, and it didn't happen. Um, the well, I didn't really care so much, but um, it was my friend that recommended that I do all this. I was never going to do any of this, so I thought it was interesting, and I was like, okay, well, why not? I'll just see what go there and see what happens. So we went there, and then they're like, "Can we help you?" Because there was a camera out there. And he's like, "Can we help you?" And I said, "Well, my grandpa owned this," and I just kind of responded. He's like, "Oh, okay, well, enjoy," you know. So there was no qualms there. If you thought there might have been, but yeah, we were just kind of going about our day, and we went out to eat a lot, but we stuck it to like the healthy stuff. Like, I knew about this place called Kava. Kava's only in SoCal, so I was getting lamb, grilled chicken and stuff like that. And then I also got just different salad places. Place called Mary's Salad, and we also had poke from time. I think it was poke from time to time, poke bowls. And we also did, what else did we eat? Just a lot of healthy stuff. We never had pizza or broke free from our diets, or whatever you want to call it. But we did. So we had a good time. And then there was also something called the Santa Cruz Bowl by Santa Cruz Medicinal. And I don't know. Some people think I'm like his doppelganger or something. Lately, at least. But we're completely different people. I mean, I understand why, because we were influenced in the same way. Um, because we're both from, like, I was influenced by people around that were living from Santa Cruz and stuff like that. So, one of the reasons why I wanted to record the video is because well, I reached the goal, but sort of, but also I came to some realizations about stuff going on, and why there's been so much apprehension in general, um, and stuff like that. Just different things like, yeah, because I feel like uh, I've had situations where I felt anxious or been a little bit apprehensive about certain things, even though it's like, why, like, you've achieved certain things, why not feel good about it or whatever. It's like, well, I do, and then and I'm not complaining about that, but it's like, the thing is, like, I think I think what happened was, as I was like going about growing up and stuff like that, I just kind of had this mentality of trying to do, trying to take on what everybody else is doing and trying to, by mistake, not realizing I was doing that, instead of trying to formulate my own kind of thing going on, you know? So like, whether that be at school or whatever. So I don't know how to explain it, but I kind of, by going to out there, I started realizing like, you know, there was not, you know, this is all finished. It's now all about you. You're an adult now. You know, it's you're no longer a kid that has to rely on things. So it's like that whole realization made me think like, why didn't, why am I not responding accordingly? It seems like I'm not responding accordingly. Um, from the day to day, and it's hard to see it. You would have to live with me to see and talk to me like quite often to see what's going on, because I don't always post everything on YouTube. But yeah, it just got me to realize that, you know, you're an adult, so like you should be doing what is like what makes sense to you. Don't try to go off of someone else. It's like you've gotten to this point now where you got the PE license, you know, you have some experience, you're disciplined, so you should therefore do whatever makes sense. Now, I'm saying that as an adult, but like you could also apply that for like a person. If someone feels genuine about what they're doing, um if they're a kid, you know, child, and they go about things, they shouldn't feel pressure to um do something else just because, and just completely abandon that thing, which is kind of what I'm saying. I mean, it's like, on my mind, I'm thinking I have to abandon things all the time in order to just go along with what, you know, society wants or whatever, because maybe I have to make a certain amount of money or whatever the case might be. But at the end of the day, it's like, you know, you have to separate all of those things that of what society is telling you from what really is needed. So, for example, if you need to get a house or whatever, I'm not saying do this, but you could get the cheapest fucking trailer house or whatever you want to call it. Sorry, excuse my language. Just saying. The cheapest trailer house or whatever you want to call it, that's like $20,000, maybe $5,000 or something. Do whatever you got to do, live there, or even, and I know this may sound crazy, but in this time where people are becoming homeless and they're just doing things to get by. Now, I'm not saying, I mean, a lot of times this comes with drugs, people doing drugs, but what I'm saying is that if you think about it, separating that from everything else that you would associate with trying to survive and do well in society, or get you to sort of have independence, those two things can be completely different. One can be totally require way more effort and, you know, kind of like just not be worth pursuing as a result. So for example, you know, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, like when I was younger, oh, well, I need to get a job. So even though, like, and I need to be able to afford things and stuff like that. So even though I want to be a musician, or I might want to lose weight, or I might want to get fit, or might want to work on my social skills, get a girlfriend, you know, whatever the case might be, live life, really. Um, all those things were delayed because I'm thinking, well, I have to do this thing first in order to get there. Like, I have to become that engineer so I can make money and then get there. But that can't be, that's a formula for disaster. And so going to my grandpa's house or whatever and seeing it after 14 years made me realize, like, holy fuck, Not saying it's a bad thing, but I'm saying that in general, I've basically been living in such a way that it's like I'm just focused too much on that. That from one perspective, that's why. So it's like when I saw that, I was like, holy shit! I could have made this a lot more easier, and then live in such a way that I focused on what is actually good for me. Like, if I want to pursue fitness or whatever, and you have those goals, I can do that. Or if I have this idea that is associated with engineering that I want to implement that goes beyond the classroom, I can go ahead and do that. Or I can go ahead and make things happen. Or like put the effort in and do the things that actually give me a super amount of fulfillment that actually makes me feel like I'm growing as a person and growing as, instead of becoming a robot as it seems to be the case now. But it's just interesting. I mean, I just keep thinking about this because, like, before that, I just assumed, oh, you have to be that 16-year-old who has to, separate those two things. And like your dad telling you, you can have, you could do your fun after work because you could just, do whatever. And then seeing that he works until 12 a.m., 2 a.m. at the classroom and stuff. And then other people telling me like, oh, well, life is this, life is that. It's like, nobody would have predicted the downfall of offices, right? So if I just didn't listen to all this naysayers and just kind of did my own thing, I don't think I would have been, mature enough or whatever, rigid enough or strong enough to be able to handle it, but it would have been perhaps and actually survive. But I think I'm not saying they're bad now, but they would have worked out better, a little bit better. And I wouldn't have become this person where like I'm working 7 years and it still seems like I'm not contributing in a individual way to what to complete fulfillment, even though I've unlocked the keys to doing that. And I mean, the fulfillment's generally there, but it's like, it's a lot of it is based off of what other people want to see rather than what you want to see, right? And it's like, you've just been operating off of that for so long because you felt like you had to go crazy just to get your needs met for the future, and you felt like there was no other way. But you can make things. I believe there's simple ways to make things work, and one of those things is I know people live with their parents and stuff like that, but you could if you really like had that discipline, or if you really had that mindset of let's charge through this, and you're saying it's time to grow up, it's time to become this adult. Like, you could, you have to get your hands dirty, so to speak. But if you're getting your hands dirty with other things, it's like you're gonna have that mentality to be able to move forward. It just is what it is. That's my theory on that. I know I've said that before in another video, but yeah, but yeah. So I also wanted to say that about 2 months ago, maybe a month and a half ago, I reached my goal of 10% body fat, or 10.4% body fat, really, according to the InBody scan that I used. Now, I'm not that now, because after the vacation we were eating healthy, but I wasn't doing a 9-mile run every single day, and see, that's what I was doing to get me to that leanness, and about 9 miles every day. Like, well, I wouldn't say like every day, but I was so dialed into the running that I never gave that I was basically operating off of anywhere from 12 to 1500 calories, whereas then afterwards it became like 2700 calories, and low fat, but it's just inevitable. It's like you're gonna gain some of the fat back if you're super lean already. And I mean, I didn't even gain that much back. It's like, 1 or 2 pounds or something. But yeah, I set myself out to do that because I wanted to get to a fitness level, and still makes sense to me. I mean, I enjoy being lean, not because I'm not because I'm trying to model for any reason, but it's just feels good. It's who I am. That kind of thing. So, I mean, I still remember. It's funny when I went to Grandpa Ray's house. My grandpa's house from in San Diego. I used to had this memory of when I was 13. I used to talk to my dad about someone named, his wife basically, and she used to make you feel a little strange. And I mean, I think it's more of a feeling of like being inadequate in comparison, because you're like their standard. You could tell that their standards are super high. And but anyway, she told me, I remember we were having a party or something, or just like a typical dinner, and then I was gonna get dessert, and so I started scooping out ice cream out of a Breyers, ice cream container. And by the third scoop, she says, or maybe it might have been the fourth, I don't remember. She actually observed it, and I was like, what? Why would anybody be going this crazy about this? She said, hey, Raimundo, you better watch out, not get another scoop, or else you're gonna get fat. I was like, holy shit, nobody's ever told me that before. That's crazy. But the reason is I'm pointing that out is because, like, I mean, now I kind of see the bigger picture. It's like part of the fitness thing was like related to when I would go to the beach with my ex. I realized like I was not fit at all. I'm like, dude, that's just one thing, because I mean, apart from all the health stuff. But yeah, I mean, I just felt like, oh shoot, I do not fit in here. I could tell that I'm like the fat guy here. So funny thing is, when I went out there and took my shirt off at the beach, we went to Windansea Beach and some other beaches in San Diego. I was like, hey, you know what? For once, I don't feel like a fat fuck. I feel like I can actually, I feel almost normal now. Like, almost feel like I can fit in and be, and not worry about that kind of thing right now. And that's just because I would have those thoughts in the past, even when I was a kid. But yeah, I mean, anyway, but like, yeah, because I remember one time when I was like 8 or something, we like, for example, it was like, went to church, and then for some reason I was like looking at myself, and I looked at somebody else and said, I have a fat stomach. And I was like, yeah, but look at your legs, you're skinny, you have skinny legs. I'm like, okay, maybe I'm skinny. That was just one thought I had. I remember we were at church, like some children's church thing, and I never told anybody about it because I was kind of, every time I would bring those things up to my mom, she would always say like some bullshit. But that's just back then. And then I would never talk about this stuff to my dad. But or just anybody else, because I felt like you were being like a pussy or something or you were being like a woman if you did that. I never talked to anybody about this, because I was like, if I say that, then they're gonna put a lot of pressure on me to try to go to the gym or something, or not go to the gym, but just do something that will make me feel anxious or too much activity or something. And I thought, or maybe it's gonna make things a lot harder, so I don't want to tell anybody about it. But anyway, but that's not necessarily the point. Or well, there's no, doesn't have to be a point. Anyway, yeah, it was good to go to San Diego. I really had to go back and see what things was like, give myself an update and to realize like it really isn't all that, like whereas before I thought, oh well, if I want to be an engineer or whatever, I have to be a certain way, and um, I have to I have to I have to like I have to start a firm a certain way, or got to do this a certain way. No, you don't have to do anything in any way. That's the beauty of life. That's the biggest beauty of life. And I've been listening to a lot of Sadhguru. And so, however you want to do something, you don't have to replicate anything. That was the biggest trigger that came to my mind when I went there. I was like, oh wow. So now it's like I'm more open-minded to different things. And you also, at the same time, you don't have to separate your work from anything that you want to do with fun. That's the other realization that I came up with. And I thought to myself, was I always taught like this idea, like my dad saying, hey, you can do your work and then at 5 p.m. you could do your musician stuff. And it just stuck with me to think that you have to separate the two. But because you can do things in any way you want to do it, as long as it works, there is no necessity for you to separate those two things. And especially in this day and age, and with all this Instagram stuff, and when I went to that office, it just clicked. I was like, oh, right. So I'm like, change the way you approach your life. Do what makes sense to you and be as creative as possible. Do just whatever ideas you have. Don't delay it. Don't delay it. Take action. Do it. Almost like the run. It's like, who the fuck gives a shit if you get up at 4 a.m. and you start running and stuff? Who the fuck gives a shit if they tell you you're insane? Actually, that's a good thing. They tell you you're insane. Do something, This is the ultimate realization I had. Don't separate those two. Do what is in the best interest of you, because if it's a good idea, you should go for it. Don't separate it. Don't delay it. Go for it. And you don't have to get involved with drugs or anything like that to make it happen, or whatever. You don't have to kiss ass or anything to make it happen too. And so that was what I started thinking about, and I was like, oh my God, like my whole entire life. I was like, dude, my whole entire life was a lie. Like, why didn't I think of that before? Why did I assume that they had to be separated? My whole entire life, I'm 33. I'm like, dude, if you were 16, you thought this way? Like, imagine, imagine how much different things would have been at this point. And I don't know why, like, I was just like, oh my God, and, but that's that real. And also, to be fair, I'm also been listening to Sadhguru. He's sadhana or whatever they call it, or he participates in sadhana or whatever, and he talks a lot about that kind of thing, like, oh God, I'm sorry, I know I should know, but like, oh, that's right, like you want to approach things consciously. It's like, as long as you're approaching things consciously, I just, like, in my mind, I'm thinking, as long as you approach these consciously, and like you're good at that now because you've done all this fasting, and you keep yourself in check and you take care of yourself, and you approach things with, kind of softly and stuff like that, and you're your own person. You don't try to cave into anybody else, and you don't necessitate the separation of fun and work or whatever. You should be golden. And I thought to myself, I'm thinking, oh my God, why didn't I think about this before? Why did I necessitate it's just crazy to think about, and it's because of desperation. A lot of it is desperation and the need for needs, because you're afraid of the future. It's the fear. You're afraid that you're not going to be able to afford anything. You're afraid that you're not gonna do what's right. You're afraid that you're gonna regret everything. You're afraid that but it's crazy because life goes on. It's crazy. People die that are in your life, and you would think that's infinite, but it doesn't. But it's not infinite. So it's interesting. But yeah, Sadhguru is, yeah, he taught me, he made me aware of being more conscious of your choices, and that goes for everything. Like it's the opposite of being compulsive, and it's like, well, you kind of are like this anyway, but you've always been like this anyway. But it's like that whole idea, like, oh, I see what's going on, like being conscious with everything. And then and he discusses a lot of other philosophies about like who you are and what, the fact that we're all just you come here and you leave with, you come here with nothing, you leave with nothing. So if you at least have something, then you're net positive. You're on the profit side, whatever. But yeah, I just wanted to dispel a little bit of things and discuss that. And I'm going to carry this through pretty well, and it's going to help me a lot, especially with my job too, because some of the things I just feel like I get kind of caught up with, not really fear, but it's more like that whole separation that's not there. I just feel like work is work, and it has to be boring, and it has to be something that you have no personality in, or you have to. But that's not true. It's actually the opposite. When you can marry, when work is not work, it doesn't have to be. It's when you're making money. See, and this is the other thing too, is I started realizing that when you think about money and you think that making money has everything to do with hustle culture, being a hustler, you can't be further from the truth. You can also, like, Instagram proves that you can become an influencer and stuff like that, not make money off rip, and then it just takes a while, and then boom, now you're making $1 million a year or something because of the content you put out or whatever. And that's becoming more. So the whole hustle culture is becoming, this whole idea of I gotta make another $5 or some cheap low amount of money is going away. So yeah, I just thought I would talk about that, and thanks for watching.